As we know, Trump's tariffs have certainly already rocked the U.S. economy. After the initial announcement on April 2nd, the stock market plummeted, and even the U.S. dollar, which usually strengthens during busts as well as booms, dropped significantly. But why does President Trump believe tariffs are a good idea? The Trump administration has said that tariffs can help the U.S. raise revenue, protect American businesses, balance trade imbalances, and move manufacturing to the U.S. and create jobs for American workers. And as people substitute away from foreign goods, imports will fall and net exports will increase, leading to an increase in output. Why? But what the Trump administration is really gambling on is increased investment from firms who now want to come across the border from Canada and produce their goods in America instead, in order to avoid the tariffs. This increase in investment will lead to an even greater increase in Y, since it would then be multiplied through job creation, more disposable income, and more consumption. This can also be seen through our ISLM FX model. We see tariffs raising the price of Canadian imports, so U.S. consumers substitute away towards domestic goods. Imports fall, net exports rise, aggregate demand increases, investment increases, and so does consumption. This leads to the IS curve shifting right, output Y, and the interest rate both rise, and this also leads to an appreciation of the U.S. dollar as the domestic return on the dollar rises. However, that's an idealized picture. The real macroeconomy reacts along multiple channels: household sentiment, political time horizons, firms' investment incentives, as well as price pass-through, and the risk of a trade war. First, household sentiment in the U.S. is down. Consumer confidence dropped sharply in April, having its steepest drop since March 2020, just when the pandemic was starting to hit the United States. This is important because when households grow pessimistic, their marginal propensity to save increases, while their marginal propensity to consume decreases. This weakens the multiplier of any shock in the goods market. And with people saving more due to economic uncertainty and rising prices, instead of a higher level of consumption, we could actually see consumption decline. This would partially or fully offset the previously theorized rightward IS shift that the Trump administration is expecting. Second, the administration hopes these tariffs will encourage firms to invest in manufacturing facilities in the U.S. This would bring jobs back to American workers and allow firms to develop domestic substitutes for previously imported goods. In theory, a greater degree of investment would shift the IS curve out to the right because the goods market has found a new, higher level of equilibrium. This is what we modeled previously. But there's a catch. Firms face political time horizons. If businesses think the tariffs will only last until Trump is out of office in 4 years, they may neglect to pursue those investment projects, therefore nullifying the hypothesized investment boost from the tariffs. Third, many imported goods, like maple syrup, have no or limited U.S. substitutes, and America doesn't have the natural resources, here maple trees, to produce the necessary amount. Even with tariffs, consumers still need maple syrup for their pancakes, so firms will pass most of the price of the tariff on to the in-store customer. If the cost of the tariff is passed through, the overall price level will increase. This means that household real disposable income will go down, and consumption will also fall. And because tariff revenues don't guarantee higher government spending, which could potentially offset the drop in consumption, this increase in the price level will act as a negative demand shock, again pushing the IS curve left. If we consider all of the components that have been discussed so far, household sentiment, investment decisions, and price pass-through, obviously the Trump administration's hypothesized rightward shift in the IS curve makes significantly less logical sense. But the administration has still chosen to go ahead with their tariff schedule, gambling that firms will choose to invest in America. Even if this does turn out correct, if you spin the idea of a trade war into the model, the chances that Y will drop only increase. And indeed, Canada has already imposed retaliatory tariffs on American goods. That retaliation and subsequent drop in U.S. net exports results in another leftward IS shift. And Canada's tariffs also serve to reduce demand in Canada for American-made goods. This could lead to American companies shrinking, domestic production faltering, and Americans actually losing their jobs, which would cancel out any theoretical gains the Trump administration had hypothesized would result from tariffs. So while President Trump's tariffs aim to shrink trade deficits and boost U.S. production, the combination of confidence shocks and price level increases can counteract those insofar unrealized gains, creating a pessimistic picture of the future macroeconomic landscape of the United States.